Hi, Nancy Spears with genConnect, still at Sundance, and today we're talking to Jeremy Scahill and Rick Rowley, who are with Dirty Wars. Hi, guys.
Great to be with you.
Good to be here.
Great to be here as well. So, Rick, you're the director. Jeremy, you're the subject, basically, of this movie. It's an incredibly compelling movie, and I think congratulations are in order. You just got a deal for the movie.
Yeah, it's truly incredible. We signed a deal a couple of days ago with IFC Sundance Selects for a fairly wide theatrical release of the film. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier to be working with them. It's a great team of people.
Fantastic. Well, that's great news for a lot of people because this subject needs to be explored. It needs to be opened up for the American public in general, viewers all over the world to be able to see your work. And let's talk about the subject of the film.
Yeah, well, the film, it begins more as a mystery story. It's an embedded journalist who's in Afghanistan covering the war who hears about a night raid that happens outside of the Green Zone. So he leaves the safety of embedded reporting to go out and investigate, but soon discovers that the unit responsible for the killings isn't part of the conventional military force in Afghanistan. They're part of this elite covert force that is responsible directly to the executive branch that is operating all over the world. So he's drawn into this investigation that takes him around the world to the covert front lines of wars that aren't officially happening in countries that are off of any stated battlefield, wars being fought by units that don't officially exist. So we end up in Somalia and Yemen. And it really, I mean, it's been an incredible journey for us. I mean, when we began shooting this film in Afghanistan, we never imagined that we'd end up in the ruined streets of Mogadishu. And when we began filming with Afghan victims of night raids in Afghanistan, we never thought we'd end up filming the family of Americans who were killed by these same units in Yemen.
So intense. So Jeremy, you actually were in the trenches, you know, at the war.
Yeah, I mean, I actually started as a war reporter very young, covering the war in Yugoslavia in the 90s, and I was in Iraq, in and out of Iraq for years when Saddam Hussein was the president of Iraq, and then the Iraq War started, and Rick and I started working together and traveling together. And you know, when you go through a war and sort of witness the death and destruction and sort of bleak world that warfare creates, you grow really close to your colleagues, and we sort of became like family. And so we started working on this project together. And what ended up happening with our film, I'm a print journalist. I don't write articles about myself. I don't write in the first person. And when we first started shooting this film, I wasn't in it at all. We were trying to do a documentary that was sort of a linear film in a lot of ways. And in the course of investigating this secret unit, it really changed us because there were so many things we didn't understand were happening. And so in our film, the viewer goes on a journey with us where you're discovering, it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. And you know, and you also see that what it looks like to be a reporter in the field struggling with protecting sources and having your computer hacked and all of these things. I mean, we really had an intense ride in our film in making this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the global war on terror is the most important story of our generation. It's the longest war in American history. It's a war that's killed hundreds of thousands of people. A war that thousands of American soldiers have died in, and yet we know next to nothing about it. There's one night raid that everyone knows everything about. On May 2nd, 2011, the night raid that killed bin Laden, we know how many SEALs were in the helicopters. We know what kind of helicopters they had. We know the make and model of the rifles they were carrying. We know that they had a dog with them that was a Belgian Malinois they named Cairo. We know everything about this one raid, but that same year, there were 30,000 other night raids in Afghanistan that we know nothing about. So, yeah.
So obviously a major domino effect here. How did you get the information as the process moved forward?
You know, as a reporter, you know, the two most important things that you have are your credibility. You know, your word has to mean something, and you have to be accurate. But the other thing is gaining the trust of sources. And one of the things I think that's really unique about our film is that we have some whistleblowers from within these units that come forward, have never been interviewed before, and we're protecting their identities. And we've digitized their faces and shadowed them out, and then we distort their voices. And they explain what it's like to be in these units that are tasked by the President of the United States with hunting down the people that have been named as enemies of the state. And in one of the stories that we tell, one of the people being hunted by these American commando units is in fact an American citizen himself. And so in our film, we have people dealing with the moral questions of targeting one of their own citizens. But we also gain the trust through working on the ground in these countries for years of people that are affected by these wars. So you go into the homes of the victims of night raids. You're in the mountains of Yemen looking at U.S. cruise missile parts that are the result of a bombing that America claims it didn't do, and yet the missiles prove it right there. So it's really intense as a journalist. You have to have your credibility, and you have to be able to gain the trust of sources who ultimately depend on you to keep them safe in some way. As journalists, we take all the time. You know, we interview someone, they share their pain, we take it, and journalists leave trails of broken promises. On this film, we've kept in touch with everyone that we filmed, and they're so excited that this film is at Sundance. They hadn't ever heard of Sundance. This tribal sheikh in Yemen told me that when he read about it, he had to Google Sundance, and then when he called me up, he said, "Is Mr. Robert Redford going to see this movie?" Because it actually like meant something to him, the idea that someone who's kind of an iconic, American would have anything to do with the tiny village of Al Majala in Yemen. So, we're really humbled by the team of people that worked on this, and we're here for them too.
Fantastic. I feel your passion, complete integrity around your work, and I hope that the movie is a huge hit and your message gets out. So how will viewers be able to, when will they be able to see Dirty Wars?
Well, I think it's going to come out in late summer. Pretty fast turnaround, and we're really excited about working with IFC Sundance Select, because they said right off the bat we are going to get this into as many theaters as we can, and it's we're really looking forward to people seeing this over the summer.
Terrific. Well, Rick, Jeremy, congratulations to you, and we'll stay in touch. So for more on Dirty Wars, check out genConnect.